Good night, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Heath George, and welcome to What We Drinking. But before I get into it, make sure you subscribe, click that notification bell button, like and share these videos so you can be up to date on all of our new content when it drops. Tonight, on What We Drinking, I have the lead singer of the 9-time Soca Road March winner. This band has traveled to many places such as Atlanta, Miami, New York, Tortola, Anguilla, with hit songs such as I Love My Wifey, Stop, Left, Right, Stop, Walk Up. Please join me and welcome the artist and the singer, Malvern V. Gums.
What's up, man?
It's all good, man?
Good, man.
All right. So now everybody on this show normally wants to know one thing. What we drinking? So now we're going to figure that out right now. All right?
Well,
Guys, this is called Mommy's Treat. Enjoy.
it's called what?
Mommy's Treat. Enjoy.
Mommy's treat? Like, meaning like my mom would make me drink this? You're having sulfur bitters and thing to make you live forever?
Let's look at this.
This is amazing. What is it called?
Mommy's Treat.
Well, the first thing I'm going to eat is orange. But you accustomed and you dip it in?
I dip, and then I pull the whole thing. This is really nice, actually. Has a
Let me
nice
try the
little
drink
sweet sour pang to it.
And the word you said was treat? Mommy's excitement. I think.
Man, this is good.
Nice.
All right. So, let's get into the conversation. Now, last year, it was 2019, you guys came up with a trending song, Wifey. Now, I want to know this question. I think everybody's kind of curious as well. Do you, or anyone you know, is currently has a wifey and a sighting too?
Me, if I do, no, I don't. I don't have a wifey. And I'll just leave it as that. I don't have a wifey.
All right, that's perfectly fine. But what we do know is that there's a lot of people out there that do. And I think too many times people listen to a song and it's more about the art, but they take it a bit too literal.
Correct.
Would you agree?
I definitely agree.
Now, what I see to be the problem is, there's a lot of guys that will go out there. Now, you personally, you don't have any side chick, as you just said, right?
Right.
And they might say, you know what, I want to follow Malvern, and they've been with their wife for so many years, and what do? Go and get a side chick.
Well,
I know what happened right after that. Problems. Now, you see, if you can't afford to have a side chick, I really believe that you should. Now, what I'm trying to really figure out, or what am I trying to find out from you, is what do you want to tell people out there that really take their time to really take the artist word literal versus focusing on the art versus the music?
man, that question is so filled with a whole hour conversation, because I've basically lived my entire career having to battle this. And I say that to say, I've been teaching for the past 23 years now, and I've been an artist for the past, so I graduated 1995 with 25 years. Right. So I've been on the music trail for all that time. And of course you get categorized by what you sing, you know, how you portray yourself and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So being that some of the songs that I write could be controversial, for lack of a better word, you get pinned to that. And I did a song in 2012. It was Relationship Gone Bad. And everybody was like, "Miss son, you know, what kind of song?" And you know, it was exciting, because at that point, you know, places like Antigua and St. Kitts and stuff, the song just blew up, right? Like blew up bigger than St. Thomas.
Because a lot of people's relationships went bad.
A lot of people's relationships went bad. So I just try to write songs that is real. You mightn't like it because you probably affected by it.
Right.
But the realness of the content is what I do, or what I try to push forward. And with me now, from my vantage point as being a teacher, they'll be like, "Well, you teaching the people them children and you singing them kind of thing." But I always try to tell people, separate my Malvern as an entertainer and Malvern as a teacher. It's two different entities. You know, I do the two in two different ways, and that's the key. Some people don't realize that. Just like, you know, you have great artists, great producers, and you know, they have relationships, right. But you see them in a video and they probably are in a sex scene. So you're gonna say, well, they're in a sex scene with somebody else, but they have a husband. No, they're entertainers, right. And it goes the same with music. We are entertainers. So separate. It's hard to do because it's you got some fist and cuff with the same wife. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, but the good thing about it for me, everything that happened with that song, I predetermined or I premeditated everything. I looked at the good, I looked at the bad, I looked at everything that might happen positively and negatively before. So there is nothing that was said or the good or the bad that surprised me, because I already expected it, and I put everything on the table, and it's like it's entertainment. And for that reason, it was the same thing. Those songs I've very much noticed all across the world, because at the end of the day,
it's relatable.
It's relatable. Mm-hmm. Some of you guys have a wifey, and some of you guys have a side thing. It is factual. I'd say some of you guys, you know what I mean?
It's expensive.
But before we continue, let's take a drink, because this is good. Who made this again? This is good.
You know, big shout outs to the bartender, bartender Cully. Again, you could follow information right here, following all the social medias. Now, before we get into it, right, I wanted to find out one other thing, because I've realized that too many times, especially with artists coming up, they don't technically like to predetermine the songs, and the songs don't have much context. It's all about nothingness, really. Especially here in the VI, it seems like it's da 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 da. Walk up. Like, what is that? And what makes you a little different from them?
Wow. Well, I can't disagree with you. Mm-hmm. What I will say is, I think how I came up. I first and foremost, I came up in a church. My whole young life was based in singing hymns and, you know, the Christian life, and you know what I mean, and listening to those songs that was gospel, but of course at the end of the day was a message. So transitioning over from that, then I started to sing R&B stuff. You know, I was in a singing group called Final Call at first, and then we went into G-Storm, and we went to the Apollo, and we did different things. So of course with singing those songs, those are also messages. Those are a lot of love songs, you know, talking about life, talking about a lot of stuff. So I would say for me, it was instilled in me because that's what I grew up on. Right. Currently, some of the younger musicians, they are so great in producing tracks, like the rhythm, and you don't sing nothing, put on a rhythm, and you gonna dance because they just have that. I think the problem comes in when you put something on top of it. The time into trying to create a song, you know, with a structure, I think that element of it was lost. Because, you know, in the Virgin Islands, a lot of the younger musicians and stuff like that, or backsmen or whatever you want to call them, looked up to some of the other backsmen, but they were backsmen. They weren't, you won't really hear that somebody looking up to an artist, like a penmanship artist, a writer. You don't hear that. You hear everybody looking up to you start from, okay, but Daddy Jones, you know, or Boots, or then move up to, you know, Swanks and all of that stuff, and come up, evolve that way. Right. But you necessarily don't hear the writers. And I think because of that, that's missing in the music, because it never was exposed to a good song. I'm not gonna say good song, good structure. So now you could divert from a structure, right? But you have to know the structure, and I think many don't know the structure.
I like that. So, but before we continue, right? I want to kind of make things ready, and this show, we can't do it without our sponsors. So I want to take this time to really big up to our sponsors right now. Exquisite Jewelers for making this thing possible. Without them, you know, providing their services and helping us out. Make sure you go up on their website. The link is below. And you could check them out, like them, follow them on Facebook for all the deals that they do have. They do custom jewelry as well as custom pieces, necklaces, anything that you want, they can make it from scratch. So be sure that you do check them out.
And as musicians and as artists, we have to always pay attention to what the younger children are listening to.
Okay.
And if they're listening to it and they're enjoying it, who am I to say that it's not good?
Agree. And to put a pin on that, because there's a promotional company who is also our sponsor. Big shout outs to FetLife Promotions for also sponsoring this episode. And they do a lot of events that are not just catered to older folks, but also to younger folks. So I've been to a few of the events, so I understand the dynamic or what it is. And when you ask most young people why they come out, it's more just fun.
Social.
It's more just fun.
Yeah.
Like, you don't, they won't go and buy music.
Exactly.
And even if they went to buy it, ain't the artist owns. So that's why all these artists broke, and they all have to work a government job for the rest of their life. Because even like say you're a teacher, and I'd say if you wanted to do this full time, you have a capability because you could write songs for people, you could produce music. Besides the producer, nobody else is really valuable in this new generation coming up, which seems to be an issue for me.
I don't want to say they're not valuable, because if I look at their social pages versus mine, they are skyrocketed over me, so I would not say they're not valuable. It's who they're valuable to. They're not valuable and they probably don't cater to my generation or your generation, but they definitely cater to their generation. And just so I might cater to my generation, but don't cater to their generation. But my generation is not as social as their generation. You understand? So it's about now bridging the gap. If you could find material that you could bridge the gap, not necessarily meaning that you just want to do something for the mature folks or the young folks, but bridge the gap and try to bring it in at least one, not everything. One song, two songs, and that's we try to do that. and they don't always work. And sometimes if it's with me or Spectrum, we try to bridge the gap. Some of the older folks will be like, man, I try to act like I'm young, but then we have to survive, to be relevant, you know what I mean? So we have to try to bridge the gap. And I wouldn't, so to answer it, I wouldn't really say that it's...
But I don't see them same older folks that are complaining in the same young people jam.
Exactly, but...
Mothers will be going with the daughters.
Well, again, because it's bridging the gap. It's bridging the gap.
I mean, if we had more time, we'll even elaborate on it. But I think to end off this note, I would say artists that are out there, I think they should also work on creating material that's more realistic and that can cater to the public. And also the older folks, based on what you were saying, I think we need to create something that could bridge that gap. You don't have to be like super young, but you need something that everybody could relate to, because
right.
I don't think artists are just only singers, they're also role models.
Correct.
That's why even with your songs, some people might take them literally,
Yeah.
because you're not just an artist, you're a role model. People look up to artists, fans look up to their artists. Now, is there anything else you think you want to say?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what you said, what I would say in reference to the younger artists or younger musicians, don't change your style. Your style is your style. That's what made you. Every one of us have our style. Don't change your style. But what you can change or improve on is what you put on top of your style. Your lyrical content, the way you structure, that not just don't just say rah 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 like you say, understand melodies. Listen to older songs. Just don't listen to the lyrics. Some of them listen to the lyrics and some of them listen to the structure melodically. And that way you engage your brain to think different. But the rhythm and the drive, that's new school if you want to ask me. Right. So it's something that me at my age I'll be like, yeah, my son, them are bad. I can't do that.
Right.
So put something else on top of it to keep the virginal music and the virginal culture moving forward. That's what I was saying.
Right. Thank you so much for showing up.
No problem.
All right. And again, see you guys next week. I'm your host Heath George. This is Marvin V. Gums. See you guys next time.